Welcome to the archives. Bendy and the Ink Machine began when the developer/cartoonist known as the Meatly experimented with bringing a sketch 2D style into a 3D world. After turning the idea into a horror game, Chapter 1 of the game was created in a little under a week with programmer/friend Mike Desjardins and released on February 10th in 2017. Much to their surprise, it struck a chord with global indie gamers almost overnight. Immediately, Mike decided to drop all other projects to work on Bendy and tell a most unique Ink story. The entire game was completed a chapter at a time in a year and a half by a small but dedicated group of indie developers. Although the concept and story remained as originally intended, the game changed over development as characters and models were refined from their early thrown-together versions. This archive is a peek behind the scenes at that process. And that it is. The original Ink Machine. Before a major visual upgrade, this version of the Ink Machine was the one used in the game. Much of this machine's iconic fan-loved design was translated into the final version. Ah, the OG. I'll never forget this one. There's a big pile of ink on the back. It served its purpose. Did what it needed to. Concept Bendy. This is the first version of Bendy ever modeled. In the earliest concepts, Bendy was much smaller and cuter, with a face that split open to reveal a terrifying mouth. Makes sense, but frankly, probably best that the main character didn't have a quirk like that, you know? Oh, look at that art of the chunky ink demon. Funky. Alpha Bendy. This is the original game-used design of Ink Bendy from the earliest version of Chapter 1. It is jokingly referred to as bird poop with a smile among the development team. Yep. Back when it was just Chapter 1, or actually I think it was referred to at the demo at the time, he didn't even really try to nab ya. He just kind of stood there and looked like this. Looked all funny. But I mean, distorted cartoon, I guess it worked. Beta Bendy. This was Ink Bendy's form until the release of Chapter 4. At that time, the game received a major visual upgrade, and the title character got a new model as well. He's all wriggly. I remember when there was the original merch wave of toys by Fat Mojo, I believe. The Ink Bendy design was actually based on this version of him, so I still have that figure. It was the only one I got out of the original line. Still pretty cool. And honestly, as a design, I think it even holds up a little bit. But I'm gonna be real, I do love this design. Ink Bendy. Ink Bendy as we know him today. Although similar to Beta Bendy, this upgraded version was remodeled, enhanced with a higher polygon count, and given new ink effects. Yep, ink just flows all over him. And he also looks more creature-esque, like there's just spiky bones protruding from his spine. His structure looks more skeletal, as opposed to just being guy covered with ink. Looks slightly more menacing. That's exactly what he needed to be. Oh look, there's that unnamed ink hand. That's what it looked like. I'm just going to assume that's Ink Bendy adopting another form. It would actually be interesting if the two dots on the gloves were actually the eyes for that creature. Would be interesting. Beast Bendy. In Ink Bendy's horrific final form in Chapter 5, pulled away the cartoon facade and revealed the demon within. That skipped leg day. For a quick one-use version of the character, it works. Definitely more monstrous. I know a lot of people have a problem with this design, which, fair enough, it's goofy, but again, still threatening. I wouldn't exactly want to be in the same room as this dude. Beta Searcher. In early development, with just a few weeks to create a Chapter 2, this beta searchers were designed in record time before being fully retooled later on. They were the first fighting enemies encountered in the game. Yep. At the work. Final Searcher. Final Searchers were far more robust in appearance. They were smoother, with better ink effects, and more human in appearance. Yep, with more hands and definitely an actual torso and prominent eye things. Definitely how that goes. Beta Sammy. With his first appearance in Chapter 2, fan favorite Sammy Lawrence became a terrifyingly entertaining character. When his slim build was deemed not threatening enough, he was redesigned and given a better skeletal rig for more advanced animation. Yeah, at the time he was pretty basic. Now he actually just looks like a guy. I'm pretty sure they actually made him taller too. More threatening and imposing. Final Sammy. Sammy Lawrence's final form came complete with a bulked up stature and more powerful limbs. The mad songwriter may finally get noticed now, at least by fans. And I'm sure we'll see more of this guy later. And this last one doesn't exactly have a description, he's just here. At least Henry's not alone in here. Ooh, the realistic eyes is something else. And then we have Alice. And then, technically, while not set in the game files, this lady is referred to as Allison. Very creative naming convention. We got Tom, the bacon soup killer himself. I'm not over that. Beta Boris. Papa was the original name of the character that eventually became Boris the Wolf. This early version was released with Chapter 1. He was quickly refined into the Boris we know today with the release of Chapter 2. Yep. Probably for the best that he was redesigned, because, man, this dude looks rough. But he served the purpose he needed to. Boris the Wolf. Boris the Wolf, a friend to the end, was designed using various references from cartoons of the 1920s, a blend of West Coast and East Coast animation styles. This silent and supportive wolf won over the hearts of many, although at times he was a headache for the development team due to his AI taking on a mind of its own during production. Probably because he was looking for the nearest pot of bacon soup brewing. Or a sandwich. One of the two. Brute Boris. Alice Angel's monstrosity. Brute Boris was one of the biggest surprises of Chapter 4. His design was roughly based on the Frankenstein monster, but with a more unfinished appearance. Alice took parts from within him and substituted things that his body is rapidly rejecting. Oh, my good friend, he's dead. Oh, concept art up there with Brute Boris having just normalized as freaky. Shows how dead he is, considering the X-Dot eyes. Makes way more sense. The Butcher Gang. The Piper, Striker, and Fisher make up the dreaded Butcher Gang. Interestingly, the ink-corrupted versions of the characters were designed first, and then were first engineered back into their more family-friendly cartoon forms. Yep. Which, honestly, meant that their designs being monstrous was more of a product of the fact of, what can we make that was really freaky, you know? Let's make one guy have two of his arms converge into one big punchy arm. Let's make sure he's got a big mouth on top of his head. Let's make one guy missing two limbs. He's got like a stub limb and a plunger for a leg with a big, he's missing an eye, big mouth. Let's just give one guy, instead of a neck, let's give him a fishing rod, where at the end of the fishing line, that's where his head just dangles from. Really good in concept. And then they actually made them looking decent in cartoon form. So, props to them. Their names, also over here, Piper, Striker, and Fisher. Their cartoon names would follow as Charlie, Edgar, and Barley. Of course, you don't really see a lot of that in the game. There is supplementary media, aka the comic book, that has these characters featured quite a lot. And I'm just going to say this right now, Edgar is the best one. Probably why he got a plush first. And I guess last but not least, we have Bertram's head over here. Kind of surprised he didn't get like a little something explaining him, but nope, he's just here. I guess you could say you're not ahead of the game anymore. I'm funny. There's still one last thing we need to do. Henry Stein. Once an equal business partner of Joey Drew, Henry Stein was a talented animator and character designer until leaving the company around 1930. His place in Joey Drew Studios' history is somewhat undocumented, but he is often rumored to be the true creator behind many of the studio's most memorable characters. Yep, as stated before, he created Bendy. And Joey took that idea and ran with it as if it were his own. And that ultimately led to where we are now. That plant is grooving. There's no way there's that much wind down here. Yeah, well, whatever. Guess I should put Henry where he belongs. To be fully frank, I understand this game does have its problems, but frankly those problems are so small and minuscule that even the larger ones, like the very simple gameplay and the really clunky combat that frankly I don't think I had too bad of a time with while I was playing through this game, none of those factors took away from all of the good, the fun that I see within this universe, because, again, it's the atmosphere and the art style. Like, what other game looks like this, has this art style that's so unanimously defined just by itself in existence? Not a lot of games pull a 3D cartoon sketched look. There are now games surfacing that have a sort of 1930s animation style to them, but they're all, 2D in terms of sprite work and environment. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just saying that's, what they look like. Not a lot of games will ever be able to really pull this. This look is unique. Never mind the entire world that's been created just with all of these very few characters, by the way. A lot of the characters that are in this game you never see. They're just off-screen happening by themselves, and the only reason we know they exist is because of their audio logs. The other half, well, they're either variants of themselves that we see, like Sammy, Alice, Allison, and Tom. They're just inkified versions of the people we saw in those audio logs. And then Bendy, Yeah, he's a force to be reckoned with, but he's not exactly a character as he is a force in this game. An obstacle we must avoid in order to succeed. But that's great, because all of the characters, the, unique world building, the art style, the music. I could talk about the music all day if I wanted to, because sure, this game has plenty of good fan music created by some very talented nerdcore artists, that some of which made it into this game officially. The official music that was made specifically for the game, also amazing. A lot of people forget that, music makes a good game, and at the time this game came out, not a lot of indie games prioritized a good soundtrack. Nowadays they do, sometimes. But everything just comes together that I will never be able to hate this game. And sure, this game may be the lowest point in the series, but I had to start somewhere in order for us to get some of the better games in this series. Which, sure, there aren't as many as, the Five Nights at Freddy's series, but that's probably good. Quality over quantity. And this is also still coming from someone who likes those games. This one definitely has quality. Anyway, now that we're done here, there's another thing I need to take care of. Let's go back to the studio.
All right, Joey. I'm here. Let's see if we can find what you wanted me to see.
Now that it's past the right date, everything's decked out in Halloween decor, but the messages are also here. As you can see, I have the seeing tool earlier than I should have it. But it's here to show us this isn't Henry's first time in the studio. Nor his second, nor third, fourth, fifth, 10th, 100th, and possibly 1000th. According to these tally marks, Henry has been here 414 times before he stopped counting. And as much as he pleads with us himself to turn back, there's nothing that can be done. For we must persist and continue as the story implies us to. He was born here.
Hey, here's my old desk. I wasted so much time in this chair.
That is now filled with pumpkins.
Looks like they knocked out a wall or two after I left. Guess it took a few people to replace me.
Can I get a little privacy? What's fascinating is that Henry leaves himself these messages, hoping to break out of this endless cycle of going through these 5 chapters over and over and over again, but for not, he is stuck here.
This lift could use a few dry cells.
And even he knows here, there never was a choice. Every time, there's only the ink
Let's see
machine.
what you're hiding down there, old friend.
Those are some big pumpkins back there, by the way. I just got covered. But look down there. Those are huge pumpkins. Alright. Let's see if I can actually get all the bacon soup this time, because I missed that the first time. We'll speedrun this.
Alright, how do I get this to work? Who put this here? Oh my god. Joey, what were you doing?
Well, sorry to burst your bubble, Henry, but it wasn't Joey. Sure, there's a bacon soup can. It could be hiding anywhere. Oh, maybe I missed these ones. See, now I'm playing this weird game with myself, like, ooh, did I get these ones last time? Which ones did I miss last time?
Punching in.
I will say, the fact that it's able to, like, reverberate as if it were actually playing, like, in the most realistic way possible, I think it's cool. Like, the sound is consistently emanating in the right way. It bounces off the walls, realistically. Is there anything soup in here? I feel like I'd see it. Up and over.
Okay, that's all of them. to get the ink flowing somehow. Should be a switch around here somewhere. Then I can start up the main power.
See a bunch of pumpkins and some bacon soup. Like, Henry got so used to where all of the jump scares happened, he just... put warnings for himself, like, hey, by the way, this happens. He got so bored and tired of everything. I mean, I would too if I was stuck in a place for more than 414 cycles. Once you do that, you can't go back down here. Hey! Jesus! Why were you not working before? You got right up in that. And then Bendy was back again. Jump in! No! That suit, I didn't get the achievement, so... I got all the bacon soups.
This will definitely come in handy.
Joey lied to us.
Oh, my head. What happened? Well, I guess there's only one thing to do. Press on. See if I can find a way out.
Norman Polk and Grant Cohen. They're dead. Although they may be dead, they're not gone. We know what happened to Norman.
How did this place get so big?
Lacey and Bertram. We know what happened to Bertram. I think for the sake of not repeating myself too much, I think we'll go stop here, because... for chapter 2, because there's plenty to look at with the seeing tool.
Hello? Excuse me,
But-
can you help me? Hello?
Rest your head. It's
Where the hell did he go? I need to get power to this gate somehow. Should be a couple switches nearby. Then maybe I can open it.
So, we'll cut to the chapter that's important. Now, I bet you might be wondering, what's so important about chapter 3? Well, if what I saw is correct, there is in fact something very important here, and that's a fun detail. Reminds me of home. I'm sorry, buddy. I wonder what all of this machinery does. Like, is this all in relation to the ink machine, or does this machinery do something else over there? Like, make the store function? Alright. Let's see.
Wow. I don't remember any of this.
Some jack-o'-lanterns. Only toys during all Ink Demon's Eve. What's this cauldron doing? I was wondering if they were going to change things all too much. I don't think so. It's just decorated, which makes sense. Very well decorated, I must say. Bats, jack-o'-lanterns, heck, even a witch's cauldron this time.
Better get overtime for this.
I know, this is like the second time I've had you go through here, so... Ooh, before he disappears.
I don't be seen as a big deal. So what if I went and painted
Top of the morning to you, laddies.
That's sure no reason for Mr. Drew to be flying off the handle at me.
As it turns out, Henry Stein is a big fan of Jacksepticeye. I may not be an angel, but let's see what path this has in store. But what it does have... Did that have anything? Interestingly enough. The last audio log of Chapter 3, I believe I need.
Everything feels like it's coming apart. When I walked into the recording booth today, Sandy was there with that Allison. Apparently, I didn't get the memo. Alice Angel will now be voiced by Miss Allison Pendle. A part of me died when he said that. There's gotta be a way to fix this.
Yeah, well now the beef between the two of those characters seems to make a lot more sense now. Sure, there are more achievements for me to get, but I think I'll save those for later. Maybe I'll come back and just play this game all in one fell swoop, or save it for a live stream or something. Because I'll always be willing to play this game some more, but I figured I'd just come in and show you the archives and a few of the seeing tool secrets sprinkled throughout the game, but there's plenty more where that came from. And hey, Halloween update, I guess. Ink Demon Eve celebrating spooky Halloween. Didn't think this game would do that. But it's not the only Bendy game to do that. With that being said, I think this marks the end of my journey in Bendy and the Ink Machine for now. Until next time, goodbye.